Right, you know what time it is. We are back for another live open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co-host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh,
Oh, that growl is long and deep. Must be the subject matter tonight. That's a sassy wolf right there. A sassy wolf. Tonight, Monday, May 4th, we will be covering the topic Unbothered and Unhinged, the rise of sassy men. Good evening, everyone. If you stroll your feed this week, you've seen him, the guy with the eyebrow raised, the deadpan K, the one who can end an argument with three words and a smirk. Sassy, not angry, not loud, just unbothered, quick and arm with the comeback. Suddenly, he's everywhere. Your For You page, your group chat, your dating apps, your locker room. So we must ask, why are so many men sassy right now? Is it the algorithms? Because of 6 second roast beats a 6 minute explanation every time? Is it armor because LOL okay is safer than swinging and funnier than silence? Is it culture? Because the guys we put on the pedestal, from late night hosts to Marvel heroes, don't grunt anymore. They banter. Or is it something older? Muhammad Ali was sassy. Prince did not say a word and still read you. Maybe man didn't get sassy. Maybe we just finally gave them the mic. Tonight, we're not here to mock it or praise it. We're here to pull it apart. We are trying to figure out where the line is between wit and weapons, between confidence and deflection. This is Unbothered and Unhinged, the rise of sassy men. Because the tone changed and we want to know why. Let's get into it. People, please like and share our video. And don't forget to tell all the sassy men and the women who deal with sass to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. So here we are with our sassy selves. Uh, Tonight, cover this subject. And well, before we get into all of that, do I got any house breaking news? Well, not really. If something comes along the way, same old, same old as May. NBA playoffs kicked in, and it's that time of the year that is winding down. I think we got 29 days left of school. And be on to the next. So time is again flying by. A lot going on. So that's that. I'm sure I'll chime in with something later. Nothing that stands out right at this point, but I'm sure this type of conversation will provoke other things out of me. Big Bad Wolf, you got anything going on with your sassy self?
no, man. You know what? I rolled into work Saturday night, and I'm a Sixer fan. I hadn't paid jack attention to the season this year. I just haven't, because the NBA for me isn't what it used to be about 20 years ago. So ESPN is on, and I see they come back from down 3-1 to beat the hated Celtics. I was so filled with joy. I was just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of quasi happy. The Sabres are on the round two. The Sixers that come back from the dreaded 3-1 deficit. As a sports fan, I can't ask for a whole lot more. Or can I? We shall see. No, but man, I got nothing else, man. I need to get my behind in gear, get my grass cut. But just man, between the rain and these 40-degree temperatures, man, it ain't gonna happen anytime soon. It's either too cold or it's too damn wet, and I don't cut wet grass. Sorry, Jerry.
Quick question: Who are the? I didn't see who the Sabers played second round.
Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, okay, and the Sabers are favored to win.
They have home at ice advantage. Um, I haven't looked at the odds. I'd imagine that they probably are. The only I would think that the only team they would not be favored to win against is the Lightning because the Lightning finished first overall in the conference. So, but man, it's been a joy to watch them. I listen to most of the games on the GR, and this is a different Sabres team, and finally, all the years that we saw them scrap only to come up 3 points short, 4 points short. At the end of the regular season, it was disheartening because you see the makings and the underpinning of a good team. They just wouldn't catch a break here or ricochet here, and it looked like that was going to continue. To go that way this season. I remember, just before my birthday, they had went on like a 4 or 5 game winless streak because in the NHL you don't necessarily always have to lose per se. To lose, you can go into overtime and lose that way. You still get a point. And and then they just got hot, man. And they were like a comet, man, just wrecking the league. And it was just like, and as Saber fans, you kind of sit there with bated breath because it's like we've kind of had a taste of this before, and we don't know if they're gonna disappoint. And then they got the Olympic break. Couple Sabres came back with Team USA with gold, and they did not drop the ball, man. They were skating teams literally into the ice, and it was just like, yeah, they're here. They're ready to make some noise. They're gonna get into the postseason, and we're gonna find out what happens in the postseason. Now they dropped game on the Boston, and we was like, oh, because we know our history with Boston in the postseason, and Boston has been one of those teams some years back that they had a deep playoff run, but then they got the square the series at one of game apiece, and then they went up 3-1. We was like, oh, this series is done. No matter what, Boston's not gonna come back and win 3 straight against these Sabres. This is a different Sabres team, and we've seen that. So hopefully they continue to skate like this. If they do, man, I see a Cup Finals this year, and I'm not necessarily being a braggart about it, but that's the way they're pointed. Lindy Ruff has got them boys playing. I don't know what's transpired in the locker room. I know some of the trades they made later in the postseason has helped bolster their toughness, and they're not taking a back seat. So when their high caliber players get run, it's kind of like, to make a basketball reference and a lateral point. When your stars in the NBA get roughed up, you got somebody out there to protect them. Buffalo hadn't had that in years, so people were taking free runs at their stars and clipping them and putting them out out of games for 3 or 4 games. Now that may not seem like a long time, but in NHL, 3 or 4 games can be the difference between you making the playoffs and not. Now Buffalo has that. Buffalo doesn't have that problem anymore. People are stepping on ice. They're forced to play Buffalo style of hockey, which is up tempo and a lot of speed. And a lot of teams don't have the foot speed to skate with Buffalo, so they try and make them turn it into a physical match, and Buffalo can match them. So we gonna see how they do. And I'm giddy. I'm giddy for this season. I'm giddy for the next 3 or 4 seasons to come along, man. And I, like most Sabre fans, we say it's long overdue, and we are not gonna be quiet about it.
All right, all right. Well, we gonna get into this subject matter, the reason we are here, and it kind of I seen things based on the whole Clay Thompson, Megan Stallions situation, and I guess guys were commenting about it, sharing it, and for some reason, women became upset about it, and I know they have been saying stuff before that, but they were saying, that these men. I think any rebuttal that a man gives, he's sassy, or
Yeah,
they come back with a quick response. Oh, you sassy, and all this stuff. But like I said in the intro, this word is usually was connected to women having, maybe high energy, uh, being direct, making bold statements, just maybe having their own confidence or element. But also, when you connect that to men and you think of sassy, then if we go back to our generation and you think about Muhammad Ali, he always had a quick comeback with everything. And then even if you, like I made reference to Prince, he didn't say much, but remember, communication is about the 55-38-7 rule. Like sometimes it's just the body language that could come off sassy. Uh, don't have to say a word, but the eye contact, the cutting of the eyes, the different looks. So now it's to the point that women are running with this whole thing of men being sassy, and let's not throw in the whole manosphere thing and Kevin
oh God,
Samuels and all that.
yeah,
And
buddy.
I seen someone make a post and they was commenting about that, like, oh, the red pill, these guys, this and that. So that kind of brought this conversation to the forefront on here. Like, you call me what you want. I'm always gonna have a quick comeback, and I call it wit. I call it wit. You best believe it. And I ain't gonna even have to think about it. I'm gonna come back real quick, and then you gonna have to process it and think about it, and say, "Damn, how you come up with that?"
Yeah,
That's just how you. Some people think, whatever, thinking on their toes. But if I'm sassy, then I'm sassy, and also the whole men podcast, the podcast shows, they consider these guys being sassy and all that. The whole, which they say the gender war thing, or going back and forth with women, that just sassy. But wait a minute. So now women get to say everything, get to run their mouths, get to do all the talking, and men can't respond. I know y'all don't want us to say anything back. You really don't want us to say anything back because sometimes the truth hurts, but I guess they want to silence us. And they come up with names. Oh, you sassy. Don't bother me. Unbothered, unhinged. I'm passing the mic for now.
you know what, man? This we gonna take this a lot of different ways tonight. We gonna, I mean, we can start from our childhoods, even Gen X men. Not so much the boomers, but the Gen X men. Because what people don't realize is this: Gen X men, we're not, especially free Black Americans or Native Black Americans, however you want to term it. If you were around your mother a lot, what is the one thing that you actually heard often? I know when I was around my mother, she used to play cards. Nothing but women there. One or two might smoke. One might drink. My mother didn't drink, but you always heard the quick quips, the comebacks, the razor sharp digs, if you will. And we processed that. Now we didn't necessarily act on it. We would go outside and we would we would get in our little circles, and what did we do? When we wanted to pass the time, and we wanted to be Richard Pryor, Red Fox, Eddie Murphy, we started calling what we started doing what they call ribbon. And that's where a lot of this stuff originated from. But generally, it was just the boys around. There were never any females. Stick with me now. So this is where a lot of brothers started to develop that quick wit, because you couldn't sit there and tell a 30-second story. By then, the moment that passed, and people would start clowning you. Oh, you ain't funny. You ain't got it. You lame. You this, you that. So over time, you say, okay, look, I got to develop a repertoire of some quick comebacks, some witty comebacks, so I'm not the only one being laughed at. And that's how a lot of this stuff evolved. You may have kind of evolved out of it, aged out of it as you got to high school. Some of us went to college and the workforce because simple. You don't have to do that nonsense now. Look, I can stand on my own now. I don't necessarily have to be funny and get people to laugh in circles because we're adults now. We passed that. Or are we? The time machine says no. We right back to being teens in high school where we used to play Butchie Baker and Snatchies and all the things that we reminisce about. Now it's like we sassy for being intelligent, for being able to figure out that if we say something and it's quick witted, that we're not supposed to say that. We're not supposed to be able to, like David just said earlier, we're not supposed to be able to think on our toes. We're not supposed to be able to match jokes with you because it's deemed feminine in some type of way. Well, damn. Y'all castigate us when we don't resemble our mothers, and we're castigated when we do resemble our mothers. So we can't win. So you know what? Y'all just gonna have to deal with us real sassy, real sharp tongue, and real short. And sometimes you're gonna have to consider the feelings is gonna get kind of hurt and stepped on like some grapes because we're trying to make y'all wine. Double entendre. Nah, drink. That's what y'all got to deal with. B-2 bombers are overhead and the bay doors are open. Bombs away.
Mm. It her Big Bad Wolf touched on some things, and you would have a lot of quick responses from women, and they would cut you up. I can't think nobody, and then this is in newer times. I can't think anyone more sassy or probably than my sister at this point. Yeah, the sass on her and the comeback she say, it just leave you appalled. And sometimes especially my niece, she'll say, "Uncle, you always run your mouth so much, but you're afraid of my mom. 'Cause she the only one who can make you be quiet." And I don't know if I just quiet because I'm definitely not afraid of her because I'm the big brother. But it's just the shit that come out of her mouth, like real quick with it, and you just sit there, and all I could do is laugh or don't say anything at all. But that sass, and don't get me wrong. And I remember we was on the tiki boat, and one of the things that we talked about, and they said something that you like, and I said one of the characteristics I like in a woman is sass. I like for a woman to put somebody in their damn place,
Every so
even
often.
me. And long, it's ways that you can go about doing it. Um, but sometimes a quick response, and you're like, "Damn, shit, you got me." And all I could do is Warren to laugh. Like, "Yeah, you got me. That was a good one. That was a good comeback. You funny." Um, so I said that's a characteristic I like because also it'll put somebody else in their place too. A lot of these, guys out here be reckless, and some women who don't have sass, they may take bullshit that they don't have to take, and let people get away and say stuff. But a woman with sass, you might as well keep on walking, brother. And that's why some guys are intimidated by some
Yeah.
women because they may know, like, shit, I better come step to her correct, or she gonna break me down. Like if she start questioning me or something and my answers ain't right, she gonna let me have it. So it's not a bad thing. And even with men, some men got quick responses. And they may not, less is more. They not going may not argue with you. Now there is some guys that will go back and forth all day long. Nah, I'm not about to do all that. That's why I barely seldom even comment on anything in there. I used to comment more, but I always say, "Hey, come on over to the show. Come
Yeah.
over to the show. Show your face on here and talk good." But most people, they sleep right now. People our age, but I know they're not. I know they're not. They're sassy undercovers on the keyboard. But it's a lot. So let me. And one of the things also to add to it, social media rewards it. Sassy clapbacks, dry humor, you know, things that go viral. TikTok, uh, TV was made sarcasm, expressive reactions. Um, Guys who could deliver a line gets views. So if you got a good punchline or a good comeback, it goes a long way. Some people mastered that, the ability to do that, and as the Big Bad Wolf said before, the art of ribbing or cracking jokes, whatever. Like you said, we would sit in circles and you had to. Now I was quiet, but one of the guys that I hung with, shout out to Ernie Hasler Point, was the
Yeah,
master
boy.
of it.
Especially Ernie.
Yeah. So I had no choice. And then to a point, he would say, "Shit, you more funnier than me because the stuff you come back and say, you actually have to think about it. Like you got a different type of humor." So I learned to begin to do that. But then as I got on, that's why the controversial counselor developed whatever. They like, "Oh, you like instigating shit. You just because I could get something going. I could get a whole thing going and a whole story, and ain't none of it that is true. But I can have people thinking, like, wait, are you serious? Or are you making this up? Because this do sound like something that person said. So it becomes like a gift. And hey, I love to have a little sass because I'm like I said, I'm quiet, but sometimes less is more. I could hit you with a quick response and have your ass balled up under covers after you walk away. Like, damn, what did he just say to me? Damn, he fucked me up and walked away, whatever. And I've mentioned this before, and I remember the sass that I had one of the administrators, and me and him, we still keep in contact. I like to wear, if it's springtime, when I like to wear different like colors and stuff. And he was like, "Oh man." And if he listening, he know what I'm talking about. He like, "G Lover, like man, you gotta have some confidence." And sass is about confidence too. He's like, "You
Yeah.
gotta have some confidence, whatever, to pull off some of the sweaters and shirts you wear." And I looked him up and down, and all I said was, "Get you some," and walked away. All he could do was laugh at the end of the hall. As I walked away, I looked back. All he could do was laugh. Hey, you got to have confidence. Get you some. He couldn't. He couldn't even come back with some. I had his knees buckled at that point. He was out for the count ready. He couldn't even respond back. So that's like for someone who understands it, those words don't hurt when you say you men are becoming too sassy. Don't hurt because we know where it came from. And like I said, and Muhammad Ali was one of the baddest men on the planet. It shit for life. Period. Overall, and if he was considered sassy, and if you could fall under his skill set or his gifted gab or his mouthpiece, you gonna be all right.
And I think what the funny thing about you mentioning Ali is I don't think women, by and large, no matter what their profession is, understand that that type of behavior, those kind of quick with a repartees, are ubiquitous in sports. There's segments, especially in the NFL. Not so much in the NBA because of a lot more profane language, but all you non NFL fans or the casual football fans, just go to YouTube and type in mic'd up NFL. You're gonna hear a whole lot of stuff that isn't necessarily uh defamatory. It's gonna be funny. Someone's gonna have you scratching your head, and y'all gonna say, they thinking this stuff that quickly? No, it's just innate for some people just to come off the hip and just be like bow, 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 and then go back to the huddle. And it's like next play. And you got some people that, they live to talk this type of stuff, like Deion Sanders. Some of the things that he say off the hip, he think about this type of stuff. Like there's the story he tells about not draft day. Oh, what's the draft day? No, no, no. It was not training camp, the combine. And the way they had the combine was that it wasn't sectional. Rooms weren't sectioned for teams. It was just everybody in just a big old cavernous room. And he got backed into the Giants portion of that area. And they were sitting down handing him a playbook. He said the playbook was about as thick as as a phone book. If you from a major city, you know how thick a phone book could be. And he said, wait a minute. When you guys draft, they said the left. He said, oh, I won't be there. Out. Those are the type of repartees that a lot of intelligent men have, a lot of confident men have, that people look at, oh, he arrogant. No, that's not arrogant. And a lot of people, they mislabel that stuff as arrogant, because I've been called arrogant just because I'm like, okay, and oh, you think you're funny? No, I'm a Lewis. What does that mean? Loving every woman is simple, cute with a dimple, stuff like that. And people are like, you one of them. Nah, they one of me. I'm like, oh. So we out here, sometimes we stand alone, sometimes we stand in a group, sometimes the group stands with us. You don't know until you start poking the bear. And sometimes when you poke the bear, you say, okay, you know what? He bad to the bone. Let me leave this one alone. Because he done swiped the paw out there. And he let me know what time it is. He got jokes. Because that's what they usually come. This year, a woman say, oh, you got jokes. And that's what they mean. We're not out here to necessarily make you feel bad. We out here to kind of laugh and snicker with you. But understand, we not going to be the butt of your jokes. So if you're on Facebook and you think you got one over, and he come back and he say something and it hit kind of close, leave that one alone.
Yeah. It reminds me of the day I had two young ladies in my office, and they, again, maybe I'm sassy. Yeah, they said something, and I came back with a quick response, and the only thing they said, well, you swear you funny, Mr. Glover. You swear you funny. And you love to crack yourself, because I'm cracking up, because I know I got you. And I'm laughing. Then I said, and then I was like, but you know what? We only got 29 more days left. I said, I know y'all gonna miss me. Then the one said, I am gonna miss you, whatever. I don't even want to think about no other counselor. You my only counselor. When I go to high school, I'm coming back to see you. I'm gonna come back and sit here and talk to you and let you know what's going on. So despite the sass, despite the quick comebacks, despite the jokes and all that stuff, they know it's pure. And
Yeah.
sometimes those quick responses is pure from the heart and it hits you on the head. Remember, I always talk about the great Dr. Pappalardo, my first counseling teacher. He says sometimes you got to get hit on the head to make people understand. That would be sad. Sometimes you're going to get hit on the head and the shit may hurt. But when you process it, maybe most people won't admit it and say, you know what, you was right. No, I know when they admit it, like especially if you in relationships and you went separate ways and you're like, damn, I never want to tell you this when we was together. But a lot of shit you said, it makes sense now. After me dealing with Melvin and I had you, now the shit makes sense. Cause I'm going through hell. By the way, are you with anybody? Maybe it's too late. It's too late. I was trying to
Yes,
tell
sir.
you. I was trying to tell you what was going on. You ain't want to hear it. You just said, "Oh, you love to talk. You sassy. You run your mouth like a bitch and all of that stuff, whatever." But when a
That
person,
that leave
man
love
and woman,
song.
When they shut down and they're not saying anything, then that's that. But before we get into that, I want to say some of the reasons that women consider men sassy, drama kings, whatever you want to call it. Uh, they say we insecure. We complain all the time. Uh, we like to try to run circles around you. Bless you. Everything we
Thank you.
say come back is negative. We're excuse makers. Love the gossip. Always on social media and folks' business. Pouting, bullshitters, baby mama drama. All of this stuff they consider, they deal with sass, drama, all that. We super emotional, no honesty. We're lacking confidence. That one right there, I don't know. It depends on the player who's using the sass. If they're lacking confidence, because usually sass is represents to me confidence. But the one thing about it, as well as you give it, you got to be able to receive it, and that's the thing about being sassy. You got to give what you can take. If you can't do that, then shit, you might as well find another word. So I'm gonna adopt the word. I'm sassy as fuck, and I'm passing the mic.
And I think a lot of that stems back from women aren't supposed to be hit, particularly and especially by men. So when you take that adage and you stretch it out and you apply it to verbal altercations, it becomes even more magnified. Like, you're not supposed to talk like that to women. You're not supposed to do that to women. You're not supposed to say that to women. Why? Because they're delicate creatures. Okay, well, correct me if I'm wrong. If I know I'm a delicate creature, the last thing I may want to do is to go provoke someone who might not think I'm delicate, and they're gonna handle me accordingly to how they feel. People don't realize this. There's a lot of things in the world that you can get away with. You can get away with hitting somebody, and they may not hit you back. But the one thing you can't do is hit somebody and then tell them what kind of force they can use to retaliate. Because you opened that door. Not only did you open that door, you walked through that door with some bravado. And they said, oh, you one of them types. So they say, okay. And they do something that you never assumed that they would do. And you say, you didn't have to hit me like that. You know what? You are absolutely correct. But what's the caveat? You didn't have to hit them at all. And they send them messages. And they send the messages one by one, very loudly, very succinctly. So the next 4 or 5 people that were around, guess what they're going to do? They're going to spread that story. And it's always said that it's easier to teach 100 lessons one time than to teach 100 lessons at a different time. And I'm a proponent of, hey, look, you're not going to mess around with me like that. You're not going to toy around with my emotions. You're not going to come wipe your muddy feet on my white rug and think it's okay and think I'm not going to say something. No, I'm going to say something. And I'm going to let you know in non-federal terms that, hey, look, I don't know where you grew up at. I don't know what your home training is. But around here, that type of behavior is not acceptable. Now, I and some other people, we might let it slide once, just once. And after that, what's the old adage? Your ass is grass, and I'm the lawnmower. the sentence, the sentence, real lawnmower.
I love using that saying. I love using it.
Yeah, I ain't said it in a while, but I mean that's That's um, and the funny thing about it is, the more we move towards an egalitarian society, the more the stuff is going to come out, and the more people are going to ask, where does this stuff come from? This stuff has always been latent. Men doing certain things, men not doing certain things. We understood, especially of us who are Gen X and older, we understood that there was going to be a certain amount of punishment and verbal abuse that we were going to have to take. We know that's the way it was written in societal terms, and to a lesser extent, biologically. So when we hear, oh, you're not man enough to do this, you lack the dexterity to do that, we understood why women would say that. It was a motivational tactic for them. They couldn't very well take you and put you down and do. No, they don't have that kind of physicality. But what women always have, and you always talked about this day, is the vocabulary and the willingness and the ability to out talk a man. There is no man on this planet who's going to out talk a woman. I don't care who he is. I don't care how verbose he might believe. He's just not. We're not built like that. Similarly, there are going
Hold
to
on,
be
hold on.
very few. Go
Like you
ahead.
know, I had to interject. Well, understand this. Sometimes, sometimes a man, if he's smart enough, he's sassy enough, he gonna let you keep talking and keep talking. Cause sooner or later, just like y'all say, when you let men keep talking, you're gonna stumble up on something. So you can out talk somebody, but doesn't mean what you're putting out there makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, if he's a smart person that process something, he's gonna call your ass back out on that. Then you're gonna be backed in the corner. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't say that. Oh, you said this. Oh, you said this, and this is what you said. Ooh. So sometimes less is more. Just because you, like y'all said, the saying, you're loud, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just like to run your mouth and you're loud and you're wrong. And sometimes, you would get that sass from a guy that he only go give you a few words. So he go sit there. Okay, okay. You done? You done? You're done talking now. Let me take the mic. Now I'm about to get on you. Then all of a sudden now you got something to do or you want to run. If you're on the phone, you want to hang up or whatever and don't answer the phone, whatever. Then down the road, if he doesn't play into the game, like I'm not calling your ass back. We can go shit a week without talking. Uh then you realize, you know what, I'm going to power. Then you try to make it big, kind of put yourself in value. Well, I guess you wasn't gonna contact me, so I'm gonna be the bigger person.
Yeah.
Nah, nah, I wasn't wrong. So therefore, it was nothing for me to say. So instead of you still admitting, yeah, I was dead wrong, whatever, but you would come back and say, I want to be. I'm the bigger. I'm gonna be the bigger person, and I contacted you since you. It seemed like you just was gonna let this ride out. Yeah, standing on my 10 toes. That shit. I ain't about to go through that. You were dead wrong. So sometimes, the more you talk, pay attention to what you say, because people are listening, and that one particular individual might be listening and might come back and throw that back up, and it's considered sass because you didn't want to hear it, or you probably didn't think he was paying attention, or vice versa. But we're talking about man being
Man.
sassy.
I'm not going to rehash an old story, but I will say this: the more information you come into about a particular topic, like I said, I don't want to rehash the old story, the more you say, wow. Now, I'm going to drop some, I'm going to breadcrumb a little bit. So some people who aren't long time listeners are going to ask, what the hell is he talking about? and I'm gonna breach the topic like this. That paternity story has been turned around.
Mm.
Somebody somewhere down the line has said something that isn't true, and I'm gonna say it like this. Yeah.
Oh
So I
boy.
contacted the individual, man, and the individual, because we have a mutual friend. So me and a mutual friend went out to lunch last year, and we was just kicking it. And she told me about that. I was like, why in the world would you still be stuck on that when that's not true? And then talking to her, I found out why. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. I said, either way, I'm done with it. That's their ball of wax. They deal with it how they want to deal with it. I'm done. But suffice to say, this is where men have had to develop the ability to say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to be the party to your game. I am not going to be the ball between your two ping pong paddles and y'all paddle me back and forth. I'm gonna tell one of you. I'm gonna tell one of you motherfuckers to go take a leap because I'm not the one to be played with. I'm not the one to be toyed with. It is only then that the gravity of situation actually starts to come to the surface, and people realize, okay, you know what? Somebody done poked the proverbial bear, and the bear now is spitting lava. And if you get hit, let there be a warning to you: stay out the way, especially when the bear mad. Because I know there was the adage of and this is another thing that brought along the sass. They were asking random women if he had the opportunity or the option to be the man in the forest or the bear, who would you pick? And a lot of women were picking the bear, and they said, "Oh, y'all don't understand? No, we do. We understand. We understand very well. Y'all foolish as hell, but hey, continue to be foolish because there's a lot of women talking about, oh, that man wouldn't help me. Well, shit, go find the bear. You won't pay child support. Go find the bear. There was this woman that was loading the washing machine into the back of a flatbed truck, and about 4 or 5 men walked by, and she was lamenting how they wouldn't help her, and the only one that stopped to say something was an elderly woman. Go find the bear. Yogi's out there somewhere. Hey, if you can bribe Yogi to help you with a picnic basket, he might help you. I don't. McGilla Gorilla. There's a lot of people. Oh, I'm sorry. McGilla Gorilla is not a bear. McGilla Gorilla is an ape, I think. Hey, gotta be careful what you're asking for nowadays, because, like David said, the same way y'all remember things. Oh, we gotta run a Rolodex too, and we pull them out at the inopportune time for you, the opportune time for us, and we just say, "Hey, look, there it is. Remember you said this? Oh, you didn't mean it like that. Well, how exactly did you mean it? Well, either way, you stuck on your own. You got a flat tire. You on the highway. You where? Rochester. Oh man, that's a what? That's only about an hour away from home. You don't have AAA? Oh shit! I don't know what to tell you, because Herb don't own the car, so Herb can't come and get you. I would take a long time on the bike, and I can't bring a spare tire. You out of luck. I'm going back to sleep. Call me when you get home.
Yeah. And see, and that's one of the things. Like we throw out words, you sassy or you petty. Remember, I
Mm-hmm.
had talked about. I made a post like, shit, ain't nothing wrong with being petty. I'd be petty as hell because I equate it to greater than, less than, equal. If you want to act this way, and I'm I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna get to your level. If you want greater, I can give you greater. You want equal, I can give you equal. But if you want to take it that low, then I can go that way. because it's lessons in that. There's lessons in that. If I just succumb to, yeah, you right, whatever. I don't want to go that route, whatever. Nah, you gotta hit people. People don't change unless they feel uncomfortable. So if you continue to cave in, and that's when you had a culture they call it men simps, and if you're not happy with a certain thing, and you keep caving in and all that, her behavior or his behavior ain't gonna change until they feel uncomfortable. Once somebody feels uncomfortable, they willing to make a change. I always make try to think about the analogy when you getting different shoes, or you got your favorite pair of shoes and you're like, man, I used to love the way these feel, but now I put them on, I need a little more support, I need something else. You would keep wearing them until you start feeling uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Once you feel uncomfortable, you're like, man, I need to do something. This ain't working. Same thing with a mattress or whatever. Like, man, I used to sleep good at night, but now, as I got older, I need a little something a little more firmer. I need this, whatever. And you would continue to do certain things until you feel uncomfortable. Once you feel uncomfortable, that's when you're gonna make a change. So it was interesting. Last week's subject, I had this guy, and we talked about the domestic violence. Wanted his ass to catch bait, but he disappeared. Uh, but he wanted to go back and forth because he was making it. I forgot. It was a clip I had posted. I'm trying to think of the clip. But what I was real basically what he was trying to say is, I think the clip I had posted was saying the reason why some women stay because of finances.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just not ready. But he wanted to argue, oh, no, that's not no excuse. There's tons of support out there. There's tons of agencies. There's tons. Okay, rocket science. If that's the case, I said, since you're making that an absolute, then why do people stay? Answer that. He could never answer it because he was like, "Oh, I've been in mental health and this and that for 37 years." Okay, okay. I respect your experience and I understand that there is. No, we didn't have no flashing 1-800 numbers going across here because we're talking about the whole story on why people don't leave, or sometimes people don't believe in the system. And
Yeah.
they say, I'm not calling them. They're not going to do nothing, whatever. I got 2, 3 kids, whatever. This is their house, and I know what I'm going to get. And it doesn't make it right. But don't come talking that babbling talk about, oh, they got all this support and all that stuff. Because I said, but okay. So why the people who don't use those supports, why do they stay? I wanted him to answer that question. His ass, he must have died because he never came back and answered it, whatever. I said, because I got your ass on the rope now. I got you on the rope now because you was talking about, oh, I got 38 years. I don't give a damn what you got. I'm well rounded in all this. Answer the question because we're talking about the reason why some people don't leave the whole story and they stay. But if you out there and you listening, I hope you alive, whatever. But I wanted your ass to come on this platform and so
Sassy. Ah!
that's sassy, and you disappeared. So I'm saying all that to be saying is sometimes people don't make moves until they totally uncomfortable. When they're sick and tired of being tired. That's the saying. When I'm sick and tired of being tired. I'm sick and tired of him putting his hands on me. I'm tired of this, whatever. Then at one point they may decide to make a move. They're not gonna make it because there's a 1-800 number out there. Because you got to go through so many loopholes to even get assistance and all that. And if you're thinking about your children, whatever, You like shit. We need somewhere to stay. No, I can't worry about. Oh, I got to be there by this time, and I get off work at this time. There's no way that I'm gonna make it there to get them there. It's a lot of different variables, whatever, that people don't understand. But I don't know anything. I'm just a sassy mom. I don't know. I ain't been in this field. I don't know. So y'all go ahead, do what y'all do.
Yeah, man. I'm especially now that I've picked up the second job and I come in contact a lot more frequently than what I used to. When it comes to those type of situations, I talk about the situation. I don't talk about the individual situation because rarely will two people's situations be identical. And it's like fingerprints. It's 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 just rare. You got, like David said, you got kids, you got length of marriage, you got displacing your kids, get them re-enrolled in a new school district. Uh, if she's working, she's got to make plans. It is not easy. So, and that's part of where somebody will say, "Oh, he's being sassy because he think he know this and he has X amount of years." Yes, the experience counts for something, but it's not a panacea for everybody who walks through your door. There are some people who walk through your door who you might have services galore. Pardon me, but they can only use some of them. And some people will say, "Well, why?" And I know we're getting off the topic a bit, but we'll get back there. Some people will say, "Well, why can't they utilize all the services?" They may not have transportation. Some might be income based. Some might only serve a certain zip code or a certain area code. Some will require that you go through classes. Even though you might be the victim, they want you to go through mothering classes. They want you to go through um, classes that teach you how to deal with domestic violence so you don't have to uproot yourself. Yes, they exist. A lot of the stuff you don't know until you get behind the glass door and you start to see. You say, "Well, damn, no wonder people don't take advantage of these programs. It costs you more to get into these programs than sometimes you're getting out of the programs." So that's why people say they don't stay because they're necessarily hoping it's going to get better or things are going to lessen. They're familiar with it, so they know. Okay, this individual is going to, whether it's male or female, this individual is going to come home from work between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. I know they're going to want things a certain way, so I'm going to try and get the kids together on the same page, try and get my behind together on the same page to make sure I minimize the things that send this person off in the left field. And that's where those comments can get you in trouble. Oh, you on a tangent today. Oh, you ain't have a good day at work, and now you want to take it out on me. Now, we tend to look at it as a male and female component. But what happens when it's the male to the female? She come home and she the breadwinner and things ain't right. And he says something. And she go upside his head. Oh, you got a sassy response to that, huh? Oh, you ain't gonna sass me. What you heard back in the slave days. Don't yes boss me. For anybody that's seen the movie A Soldier and a Gentleman. I'm sorry, an officer and a general, a soldier and a general, an officer and a general. Oh, you gonna sass me? Oh, you yes boy. This stuff is not new. And we talking about that movie was based in the early 1900s. We're talking about almost 100 years. So the Yassa boy, the sass me, well, this stuff is old, but it's just been based on one gender not being able to use it, and that gender was the men. We had to sit there, we had to take it. Your wife come home, smack you up, you henpeck. There's no term for being henpecked. Why? Well, hen's a man, hen's a male. Can't do that.
Yeah, yeah. And we always talk about like when you don't have limited options, you don't have power. So all this stuff, again, you have women that's dominant and they make their comments, they say their little things, and if you're not in no position to have a response, what can you do? Like if you barely working or she's making 80, 90,000 a year, six figures, and you're making less, and you don't like the way she talks to you and she gives you that sass and comes back like, damn, I would have thought at least you'd have washed the dishes or something or folded up these clothes, whatever. Well, like, what the fuck you been doing all day? Uh, and you got nowhere to really go and no options. What can you do? What can you do? I mean, you can try to you as a man be try to be broke without like think I'm gonna overpower or whatever, but that's really not gonna get you nowhere. That's not gonna get you where because you're gonna have to leave the house and you ain't gonna have nowhere to forget. And trust and understand if you're a single man without kids, whatever, the options is very limited for you to go somewhere, very limited for you to go somewhere, and that's why you have grown men stand at their mother's house or in their sister's basement and shit like that, or maybe they got a buddy that got his own spot, but that's only gonna last for so long because after a while you interrupting his flow. And after him working all day, and he come through and yo stinking ass laid on the couch and they did nothing. Like yo, bro, like yo, man, I I I, I sent you this link for this job or whatever, or my company hiring. Nah, man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to clean. I don't do that. But you're not doing shit. Like you need to do something. And after a while, y'all probably gonna fall out. And y'all been homeboys since the third or fourth grade. But he like, yo, we grown now. It's different conversations when you grown. Your tolerance is low. So a lot of times people say, man, we've been friends since we was in kindergarten. Well, now your ass 50. So things change. Yeah. And if you don't like the direction that that person went and you're on something different, guess what? Sometimes those friendships have to come to a halt. Or either, as I always say, feed them with a wooden spoon from a distance. Not turning my back on you, but you're not part of my program that I'm running. So I'll be there for you if you need something. But if you bring them in and they exhausted that, and you see they're not trying to make any moves, and you come home like, I usually run a tidy spot. Now you got all these dishes and cups and shit in there, and they sit there. Something got to give. Something got to give. Sass is gonna be given off in those cases, whatever. See, the beauty of what we try to do is try to let you see the whole picture of the word sass, because sometimes y'all think a word only means one thing, and y'all don't look at the whole overall aspect. And I think shout out to I can't think of his name. I want to say Mr. Williams. He said, I like the way your point of view. I like the way you frame this subject tonight. And I said, I try to make it ambiguous. Like it's different sides to certain things. So we try to, because right now the narrative, y'all trying to paint that a guy that says anything or has a quick response or likes to go back and forth, trying to say, hey, I know, bitch ass, or something to that effect. But that's really probably not the case with some of the guys. So pay attention. That's what's being put out there. Stuff like that don't bother me, whatever, because when you know who you are and you know what you
Yeah.
bring, then you just kind of laugh at those type of statements. But some of the dialogue have been seen, oh, he real sassy. Oh, he real such and such. That ain't you ain't breaking no man with confidence down with that. You're not breaking them down with that. Those words, I mean, I know words is powerful, but a person who understands what words mean, they look at that as, oh, that's a good thing. Yeah, I am sassy.
Yeah.
I'm and confident, whatever, and all that. I'm quick with it and all that stuff. Thank you for that. That's a compliment to some people. So now, what's your comeback when they use that as, oh, thanks, I am sassy.
And you know what? The funny thing about David mentioning, you know, having to go live at your friend's house, we've seen two major TV shows. I'm gonna go back about 40, almost 50 years to The Odd Couple. Oscar Madison and Felix Unger. One was a neat freak, the other wasn't. And then the TV show, very popular, Two and a Half Men. One guy got divorced, brought his kid with him, went and stayed at his in-laws' house. Diametrically opposed in behavior and upkeep. For the very popular shows, both had men who were quick witted, smart, well to do, the other one all thumbs. We see this all the time, but we don't acknowledge the what's the term? The if you will, the foreplay of it all. Why? Because we say this doesn't happen in real life. No, you don't know anybody in real life who it applies to, but trust me, it happens often. The term, oh, he's sleeping on the couch tonight. What? I'm gonna sleep on the couch in the house where I pay mortgage, where I pay bills at, and she out of her goddamn mind. Hey, I may not touch you tonight, but I sure as hell ain't sleeping on no goddamn couch. I don't know what you think this is. This ain't hotel whatever. No. Our names are on the mailbox. You don't want me sleeping in it? That's too bad. As my mother used to say before she departed when we were mad. You mad? Oh, scratch your ass and get glad. Like I said, these are the things that we learn by listening to our mother speak, by listening to our friends speak, and some of us, like David said, listen to our sisters speak, listen to auntie speak. Oh, that's funny. I'm gonna have to take that. I'm gonna have to use that for myself one day. We learn, and we learn at the right time how to use those scripts, how to come back, and if you're good enough, how to use it against the person where you heard it from first. You say, wait a minute, aren't you the one that told Uncle Uncle Roscoe this, and this? Well, you nosy. Stay out of grown folks' conversation. That's what we used to hear. They don't like you coming back. They'll send it. They don't like you coming back.
Yeah, and I could tell you one of the classic ones that I use on people. When people ask me questions, I talk about it. And again, learned it from, and I always will speak on him, the great Dr. Papalardo. And you ask me a question, I always say, you got to be going somewhere with it. And I'll say, what are you going to do with that information? And so when I learned that, be able to shut something down, well, now my family uses on me. If I ask something, my sister, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that information? Like, don't try to use that shit on me. But it works because you just don't ask people random stuff. And whether you get a sassy response, you may get a sassy response. You're not just going to keep asking me questions. Where are you going with this? What are you going to do with it? So understand, sass is about human interaction. And a lot of stuff is how you handle it. So again, when I see these women saying that these men are sassy and all that, it's because you probably can't handle it. When you're going through and making, you can't handle what they're dishing out. And y'all probably not watching this now, but y'all see clips, and you may have some feedback or not, but it's it's reality. It's about Sometimes it's about how you handle certain situations. Like the saying, it's okay to be angry. It's what you do with that anger. So it's basically
Yeah.
how you handle the situation. If you can handle it, then you're gonna complain, and then you're gonna say, "Well, damn, whoever these particular individuals that piss you off, or because they decided to share the Clay Thompson thing, and they kind of went on his side and said I agreed with him that she did too much, or whatever the case is." Y'all make it a man and a woman issue. Right is right. Right is right. And oftentimes, when you see some of these situations, and I try not to get involved in these situations because that's not my life. But when you see these cases where, when you think of child support and these women are asking for this crazy amount of money, but they never even remotely made that money. Why somebody, if they got two kids by you, got to be paying you 50,000 a month and shit like that? That's ridiculous. And to me, if I'm a judge, I would say, let me see your W-2. Let me see your pay. Let me see your pay stub. Okay, he athlete, he this and that. And what are you making? And I just think it's unfair sometimes in those situations. No, real man, if he making that much money, he gonna take care of that. Like, it's gonna be water under the bridge. But it shouldn't be mandated. No one should tell somebody like, "Oh, you got to pay this amount a month," when if he's already if he's already doing it. Now, if you make it millions and millions, and they say he don't do nothing for them at all, that's a different story. But if he do, then nobody should be able to set the terms on, you got to pay 30, 40, 50,000 a month, and that person don't even make that shit in a year, and wasn't making that before y'all got together. I just think some things is unfair, and we kind of all over the place with this because I think it ties into a lot of situations about how we handle stuff as shit, mainly as adults, and then that's when you get the different responses that you get.
Often, especially when it comes to high profile cases between Clay and Megan. And shout out to BGS for covering this. I think what a lot of people don't understand is number one, going into the relationship, what were their goals? We're not privy to that information. None of us are. So their goal could have been just pure sex. I'll come through, we move some furniture, I'll go home, we make a couple public appearances together. That's it. Now, the woman will say, well, she doesn't appear to think that was the case. No one ever does in a situation like that, especially when the feelings become involved. So the women are saying, well, that's not fair. He needs to make that right by her. Why? If that was the case and they both agreed to, then going into the situation, they knew what the other was about. They knew that the other was only coming here for this because I don't see Clay marrying her. If you look at Clay's mother, and in addition to Clay's mother, you look at his upbringing, nothing, absolutely nothing says that he would be interested in a woman like Megan Caliber's, um, Megan the Caliber, Megan the Stallion's caliber, because she doesn't match up to anything that his mother would have done in house. Her upbringing, her music style, what she raps about. Clay wasn't around any of that as a young man, as a kid. And then people wonder why these couples that we hear, and guys automatically know. We hear these names and we say, oh, hell, he's just tapping that. That's it. Ain't nothing else going on because we know by our own doings that it was only sex. I wasn't going to marry her. I didn't plan on marrying her. We could have been doing this for years, and that's all it would have been. This is why some women say, why can a man get out of one relationship with a woman and 3 months later be married? Because he already knew where he was going. You were just as the woman used to say, boo, you just a plaything. You just a placeholder. Taxes got back. I needed a place to crash. You were the place to crash. I knew that once something happened, once this triggered, I already knew I was going. So it didn't matter how good the sex was. It didn't matter how good you treated me. I was going with this dude anyway. And then the guys would say, damn. So that's how all women get down? Nah, that's not how they all get down. That's how the one you pick, you happen to get caught up with, got down. You got to take the L. You got to hold that L. It's going to be heavy. It's going to hurt. But this is why you have some men who walk around and they snap, and people talk about, oh, that's a red pill. Had nothing to do with the red pill. The guy doesn't even know what the red pill's about. He just know that he got in a relationship. He gave his all to a female who thought he was gonna have a future with, and she cut him short. So now he around here speaking negatively about women because he's had a bad situation. He hasn't healed. This is not what y'all say, ladies. You should go heal. You should go get therapy on her. And that's something else I got to address too. This bullshit about fucking therapy. Women, listen up. Echo taste, if you play. Therapy for men is not a panacea, okay? Therapy for women works, and I want you to understand. Matter of fact, go back to Sigmund Freud, because that's where this whole talking thing about therapy originated from. And then get back to me. Therapy doesn't work like that for men, because a man can lay on the couch and talk to, he can't talk too much. Talk till he get laryngitis, and guess what? He still got to go on the earn. If he wants a life and he wants a decent woman and family, he's got to go earn. Why? Because ain't too many women signing up for that. Ain't too many women signing up to be the breadwinner, the mother, ain't gonna take care of him because he still ain't found his way yet. That ain't happening. That's now, if you want to talk about Sassy, that's the male version of Sass inside a home, inside a marriage where he's not productive. Get rid of him. Eject. Hit the eject button, send that cat on. He got to get on his feet and walk. But yeah, I'm tired of hearing about that therapy in men, and because it don't work the same way. So women, stop telling men to go seek therapy. Tell him get up off his ass, hit the gym, go get a job, clean up his resume, and get his ass to work. That's therapy for men.
Well, again, I got to play devil's advocate with that. And when you get older, and again, and you're in your 50s, the window closes. The window closes. The opportunity closes. And I know you may feel I'm outside, I'm chilling and all that, and you 50 something. That's not how corporate world works. When you're
Yeah,
50 something, you're old in corporate world. You on your latter years. You can be young, you can be such and such, but if you think you could demand a certain salary or whatever, and you looking for a job, they already got the advantage over it. Like, motherfucker, you looking. So you're gonna take what I'm gonna give you. You can't the only way the only way you demand something when you have leverage and you already got a job and you say, hey, if y'all want me to come over here, well, I'm making this amount And to get me to come over there, shit, you're gonna have to do 20 more 30,000 a year. You see it all the time in the NBA when people become free agents. They can make more money at the team that they're at, but you have to make some type of deal that's sweeter, whether it's a shorter term and they get more per year, and they say, hey, I don't even plan on being that long, so I'm gonna take this 3 year 150 million compared to the 4 years in this amount. So you got to have leverage, and when you're 50 something, your leverage kind of decreases, and the only way it increases if you have connections. And someone say, hey, my homeboy, my homegirl work over here. They doing here. I don't think they too happy, but we need somebody. They'll be the perfect fit. Then you do the talking and all that, and they say, what would it take for us to get you here? And then you call the shots. But if you out there sending out fucking resumes and applying for shit, your ass at the bottom. You have nothing. You're not calling no more shots. And that's what I need people to understand. When you're in your 50s, whatever, you pretty much at the latter end. Now you can find ways to make money and do other things, and that's good too. But just don't think because somebody said, oh, you look good to be fit. How old are you? 50, 51? Damn, girl, you look good. Don't think that's the shit that work with corporate. That's just some old I'm outside type shit, hanging out, trying to get to work. That's where y'all get it twisted, man. There's so much stuff we could talk about. Y'all so annoying. Like the thought process of people, whatever, especially as we get older, and as my students say, and they said it before, man, Mr. Glover, y'all messy. Y'all older people messy. Y'all more messy than us. We are. Because you know why we are? Because we know better.
Yeah.
And y'all entitled to be messy, but hopefully you have the right personnel to try to get you on track so you can be less messy. But you're right. We admit it. Parents are more messier, I said it, than children in many situations. In many situations. Oh, the sass of some people. uh,
It's a tough world, man. It's a tough world for those who don't quite understand how it functions. And then you would hope in time, given enough exposure, you learn. Um, Hopefully, whoever's negatively affected, if you will, can get it in gear and get going with the rest of the people. But you got some people that no matter what, they never seem to get adjusted. They can never seem to find out what's missing. And those are the people who tend to just they meander through life as if everything's a burden, as opposed to just a temporary situation. And what that looks like is an individual looking older than what they are. Some people will say, damn, how old is such and such? 35? Well, why do they look like they're 45, 50? People say, well, he or she has a lot to contend with. They got divorced. They've been out of job. And the first thing they do is they turn to some illicit substance. And it's unfortunate that they don't have the support system, because when you what I've at least what I've seen is those with a support system when they can't rely on themselves completely, and that happens from time to time with people. You hit a lull in life, you need somebody to just lean up against, and you get your parents. You say, you know what, I appreciate you being there. And this is what we was talking about earlier with the with the having to stay with your mother or your friend for a while. We all are dealt. Give me a moment here. We are all dealt a deck of cards. We're all dealt a deck of cards, and we don't know what card we gonna get. We don't necessarily know what to do with that card. It might be the card that answers all of our problems. It might be the card that worsens our problems. We just know that we need to play it. So you play that card, and it comes back roses for you. You say, "Man, am I glad that's over with?" But that's only one problem you've had to deal with. You got two more you got to deal with. Now, they don't happen to be as bad as this one, but you got to deal with them. And what you find out is that it takes some guile, it takes some sass to deal with these particular problems. So having sass, whether you're male or female, that's not a bad thing. Usually, if directed, it will help you get through life. It'll help you see that as the song every, Billy Joel said, everything ain't as bad as it seems, and everything ain't as bad as it everything ain't as good as it seems, and everything is as bad as it looks. Something to that extent. And that generally is what keeps a lot of people from going too far to the right, too far to the left. You say, hey, look, I just got to get through this. There's going to be better days ahead. Why? Because I'm a better person. I know that if I continue to work hard, things going to change. Why? Because I'm gonna make sure they change. I'm not gonna always live like this. I'm not gonna always live like this. I'm not gonna always live like this. Why? Because my track record shows that I'm a go getter. You put a goal out in front of me, I'll put a goal out in front of myself. I'm gonna go get it. Because I ain't giving myself no other option other than to go get it.
Again, like I always say, the thing about these conversations are how we try to gear it, that it comes from different angles. And again, when I look at stuff and after looking up, doing your research and talking about this subject matter, I just want to, again, go back to some of the sass that the reason why men are being sassy, uh, being overly emotional or moody, displaying high levels of excitement, sadness, rolling eyes, and physical gestures, putting hands on hips. Now, that's so freaking different right there. That's more than sass. That's more than sass.
Woo!
But I ain't gonna get into that. It's a whole show. Or using expressive animated hand gestures during conversations. Yeah, anybody with all that hand movement and all that, that's a little more than sass. But I'm glad y'all try to lump that in there. But that's a little more than sass. That's probably called the coming out party. Um,
Kicking the doorway with the 4-4, screaming, "Hey, I'm here!"
yeah. Engaging in back and forth argument, refusing to back down in an argument, frequently engaging in tit for tat bickering instead of disengaging. Do y'all really want a man to disengage? Do y'all really want that? See, so some of the things you got to pick and choose, because if he give you those one words, all right, you right, or don't say anything, you frustrated with that. So got to pick and choose. Do you really? Because a conversation is about back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It's about back and forth. You say something, they respond. I think the problem is when you say something and you don't like the response that's given back. That's when the issue comes in. Well, that's what you got to deal with. So, is that person sassy or you just weak as fuck because you can't take the return serve? You can't take that Serena coming back with her serve or coming back with it. You can't handle that shit. The shit powerful. Sometimes that shit might be 105 miles per hour. That return serve. So you got to think about that. Being high maintenance is specific. Having very specific needs, such as highly detailed coffee orders or being particular about personal plans. Some people like what they like. I'm kind of plain less is more. So I'm never going to be that one that's going to be high maintenance or I like a thing a certain way. I always believe in this. No matter where we at or what we do, it's about the person I'm doing it with. We can make the most out of anything. I'm not that type. I didn't grow up that way. So, but of course, I don't want to be in no situation that I'm feeling totally uncomfortable, but I'm not when consider myself high maintenance. Performing in relationships, acting as though they are the prize, acting as the princess or expecting to be pampered. Who said a man can't be the prize? Sometimes a man is the prize. Who said that women has to be doctrine to be the prize? And it may be a situation that you on the come up. You on the come up. But this person likes you for what it is, and they're they're there for you. Just because you're a certain gender don't mean you the prize. Don't mean you're because you're a woman you're the prize. Wrong fucking answer, people. Wrong answer. And a lot of men who wasn't the prize, but as you get older, you realize he the prize. But back in the days, you ain't give him no time because you was chasing the silver bullet and thought these other individuals is the prize. I know that was a lot, but think about it. Think about it. And I'm going to continue. Overly detailed grooming routines, spending excessive time on hair, skin, or nail care. Mm. Yeah, you have guys that take care of that. And we could say, I mean, I'm not one as far as nails and pedicures and all that stuff. I do have my bi-weekly appointment at the barber shop, and I probably could do it by myself, and I probably could save a lot of money. But it's just something I enjoy to do. I enjoy the banter, going there, listen to them dudes talk as I fall asleep in the chair with my barber that I've been with for, I don't know, 12, 13 years. I fall asleep. You're like, dude, you just fall asleep, whatever. I got a razor on you. Man, I'm relaxed. I trust you. I
Yeah.
trust you. And that's that. And but there, there's some guys that's maybe excessive with it. When it's time to get ready and you're on the spot and he takes longer than you, a little sass with that. Petty communication styles, using too many emojis. Yeah, I ain't one for it no more. Don't emoji me to death with that shit. Talk to me. Tell me what the fuck you talking about. Don't be
Yeah.
sending me these big head ass things with these facial expressions. What are you saying to me? Texting with a sharp tone or engaging in dramatic texting behavior. Yeah, sometimes people talk real good behind text, and then when you say, "Hey, let's have a conversation," then you realize it is what it is that they it's behind text because when you're in when it's real and when it's a real live situation, you get a chance to hear their tone. They get a chance to hear your tone, and s- sometimes people fold. Challenging traditional masculine roles, not leading or protecting, but rather competing, complaining or acting passive and aggressively. Uh, we always gonna have that issue about leading or protecting. I feel like this, whatever. And again, I've talked about this for years. Interdependence. It's okay for both parties to lead. It depends on your expertise. Some things women will lead in, some things men will lead in. For people to try to manipulate the situation, say, well, you're the man, you're supposed to lead. Well, you can't use that only in certain situations. But if you're better planning and you're better coordinating stuff, or you're better with finances, or whatever the case is, then you should lead in that area. That's your expertise, unless you want your ship to sink. So knock that shit off. And then specific small habits, according to trends on platforms like Instagram, actions like drinking from a straw. It depends on what you drinking from a straw. Drinking, sipping on a beer from a straw. That's not how a beer's supposed to go down for a man. Using an umbrella. Now, hey, it depends on the storm. I'm not one that want to flick out an umbrella then pull it in. I'm really because I'm still lightning fast, so I try to dodge between the rain storm, whatever. But I mean, there are people that have their umbrellas and all that stuff, and taking selfies are frequently cited. People take selfies, and I remember somebody said, "Oh, you're the selfie king," and I'm like, "What?" But when I took selfies, it was a message behind it, and it was always brand related. I don't just post pictures just to be posting pictures because it's 80 degrees. It's always a message behind it. Whether you choose to read the words or the caption, that's on you. But it's never for the fact just to be taking pictures because I'm posted up or because I got this outfit on. Look at my drip and all that. Nah, that's a different type of, if you want to call it sass. I guess there's levels to this, and I know I've been talking for a while, and I know the big bad wolf got something probably to chime in on some of these talking points that I said.
Oh, the one specific where you don't know um who's doing what. True story. Security at the casino one time. A couple came up to me asking for directions, and I'll pose this to you as if I'm them. One was walking with a cane. The other had the unusually thick lens glasses. They were asking for directions. Now, I'll ask this question. I'll give you 5 seconds to figure out which one is correct. One of them was driving. Which one do you think it was? I guessed wrong. I thought it was the person with the glasses. It was the person with the cane. I learned an invaluable lesson that I apply daily. I never let my thoughts restrict someone in their abilities. So when I started speaking to the individual with the glasses, she said, "Why are you talking to me? He's driving." I said, "You know what?" I said, "I am sorry. My apologies." too often we as adults, we like to restrict, if you will, what another individual can do without actually having any information to confirm that. So I would advise you, until an individual displays that they are incapable of doing something, give them the benefit of the doubt. You don't lose anything. You gain something. You gain that wisdom. And you know what? You might gain a friend, but let them fail first. I know it sounds counterintuitive. What if they get hurt? They knew full well what they were doing and full well the repercussions. Now, the only time I will tell you to interfere is if there's a financial risk that you might be sued for not offering the help. Because I've been in situations like that. And I'll ask an individual, as a private citizen, do you require? Ask. There's no harm in asking. Ask. Do you require any assistance with that? Or can I assist you with that? And some people will say, yes, you know what? Can you do this for me? And do what they ask. Don't do any more. Don't do any less. Because that empowers them. That allows them to feel like they don't have to be sassy with you. Well, didn't I just tell you to do this? And you say, look, I was just trying to help. And next thing you know, the situation is off the rails. And you got people standing around filming because they think they're about to get a world star hip hop clip moment. And you don't want that. So just be mindful sometimes that, like David said, less is more. Yeah, just kindness, just a little bit, just a teaspoon of uh, stop pause. Just a teaspoon of kindness and consideration goes a long way. They may not have to be sassy with you. They might just say, you know what, thank you. Here's a couple of dollars for your troubles. I'm just telling you what I've seen, you know, having dealt with literally tens of thousands of people and rarely having somebody react negatively to an offer, an offer of assistance. You got some people that, you know, they're steadfast and they don't want any help because they still want to be able to think they can do it. You have to give them that grace. And you got some people say, hey, look, I'm glad you were here because I would have never made it. I was going to Tops. And for people who don't know the local area, it's not really that important per se. I live maybe about a mile from Tops. And I was crossing Pine Avenue, which is a major thoroughfare in the city. And I got to the other side and I saw an Asian gentleman, had to be about 6'2", fair sized gentleman. And he was just meandering around in what looked like a line going back and forth. And I said, sir, you look lost. Can I help you? He says, yes, I'm trying to just get to the bus station. Oh, I said, that's simple. I said, when you go this way, you turn right here, you just go straight. He said, I'm blind. I said, oh. Turns out the gentleman's name, I think, was either David or Tim. Had a very good conversation. 10 minutes out of my day, he got to his to the bus station, got a stop. I never heard from him again. Yes, I was a bit sassy. Like what the hell? Oh, we don't know what somebody's problem is. So just because somebody might give you some sass, don't mean they're an asshole. That might be the way they've got through life. And you know what? You might be the person to take just a little bit out of there. Just a little bit. So the next person they come across, they're a little more cordial with. They're a little more open with. And they don't have to be that sassy person that they've been. But until then, You got to let people be how they are. So if you encounter somebody who's says, just say, all right, you back up off them, let them be them, and you continue on with your day. As long as they don't, because we tend to take, as people, generally speaking, we tend to take more offense than necessary to what someone says to us. And I understand. We treat it like that. What I would tell you is this: let people say what they gonna say. As long as they're not putting their hands on you, that's just background chatter. Let that be background chatter because there's a lot of people who've end up in very, very bad situations just because they reacted to something that somebody said to them. It ain't worth it. Sass reaction, the pettiness, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it run a marathon, let it finish first. Your physical well being, and I know some people will say, well, I'm tired of people taking advantage of me. What did they get from it other than some time, some notoriety? Is that it? So you took 15 seconds out of your day and gave it to somebody and they gave you back an attitude. Leave that attitude right there and go on about your business. It's a story. Go home and write about it. Go home and make some jokes about it. But you don't need to get involved in nothing that could cost you more than just 15 seconds and a little distaste in your mouth. Just spit that out, keep going. Don't do it. It's not worth it. And people who have ended up in the hospital, either victims of a knife attack or a firearm, because we got some unstable people walking around. We got some unstable people walking around who, as opposed to saying something with some sass, they'll do something with some sass. And you don't know who that individual is. So no need to provoke them.
Man. So as you can see, that word means more than what people think. And I know if you caught up on social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, you would think, okay, sass. But after listening to how it's all broken down, it's a lot. But the last part I want to conclude with is even the connection with, because I've seen this in someone, and I'm convinced that people people learn stuff and all that without knowing the whole thing based on clips and stuff on social media. So when I ask you, Big Bad Wolf, so what's your take on the whole thing when they try to include the late great Kevin Samuels into the sass and all that? What role do you think that played? Because a lot of these women or this current market that we're in seems to think for some reason man didn't have any confidence until that point, and they try to blame uh, that trend or the knowledge that he dropped on the current situation that we're in now.
Understandably so. There was a lot of people, especially the way he dressed and his mannerism. There's a lot of people that misattributed a lot of things to him. And for that, nobody associated with him, nobody that knows him or knew of him, they're gonna take a back seat to it. They're gonna say, well, that was your problem, the misunderstanding. He had a smoke show once a week. Anybody had any questions about what he said, what he stood for, he was there. A lot of people simply put what you call they relied on their own ignorance, their own prejudice about him, and it's unfortunate because Any right thinking individual that really wants to know about something, usually they will go to the source and say, hey, what did you mean when you said this? What do you mean by this? Because he was the epitome of what some women will call sass. Oh, I didn't like his tone. No, you didn't like what he told you. His tone never changed. And funny, when he was addressing the men for 2 years before he ever got to the women, you didn't hear anything about it. Why? Because the men understood. You know what? He's telling me what I need to do to get my ass in gear so I can be one of those men that women prize, that women pursue, that women want. And that's all he was trying to do with the women. He would say, hey, look, you want this kind of man. This is what this kind of man is going to want from you. And if you can't deliver, then get out the way. So you had all these terms arise with pick me's and this, and I'm just like, I've never known a woman that was not a pick me. It was just a pick me for the right person. So all the stuff that we hear now that is attributed to him, that's cool. Nobody that's like I said, nobody that's associated with him is gonna make an apology for it because we understood what his goal was. And his goal was just betterment for black men and black women to try to arrest the regression, negative regression, the negative progression of black men, black female relationships. That's all he was looking to do. And he was targeting both genders to do it. Some people say he was sassy for the way he behaved, for the way he spoke, his mannerisms. He was effective. Dr. Dunbar talks about his weekend he spent with him. I don't need any more confirmation than that.
Eh, even, on a smaller scale, I've been catching years slack, whatever, in the counselor's corner about the sassiness of men. And I have people that's near and dear to me. My actual friends that I know have reached out to me like, David, what is going on in there? These men are out of control. They're saying this, they're saying that. And I'm like, listen, I can't control what they say or what they think or what they feel. But what this is opening up to you is giving you knowledge that this is how some people feel. You're used to your own circle of people, whether I know you from not, and most of the people were from Niagara Falls. You're used to that same cluster of people. Now you're opening yourself to people from all over, and they're saying this, and you can't handle it. And you looking for me to be combative and say, hey, you can't say this, you can't say that. But this is how these people feel. And I always say that you are used to a certain way things happen, but when you open up to a wide range or broader perspective, you're going to get new ideals thrown at you. And it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. So a lot of people feel uncomfortable and they're like, well, I'm leaving that group and all that. Toodles. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Continue being in your little bubble
Mm-hmm.
until you face the next circumstance. Or you can sit back, listen and learn and listen and say, damn, I'm aware of that type of situation or what's going on because that's what they was discussing in the counselor's corner. Again, we always say that you keep doing what you're doing, you're gonna keep getting what you're getting. So sooner or later, you got to open up yourself to new ideas, new thoughts, and it may seem different, but hey, be open to it. And I always tell people when I first came on the scene as a controversial counselor, I hit up multiple groups and I was in there and I was saying stuff and I was putting stuff out there and I was burning bridges and then they would kick me out the groups, but I didn't care. And then what was funny that people from those groups end up backdooring, hitting me in my inbox, like, "Hey, how you doing? I know that you was in this group, but I find what you were saying very interesting. I want you to know I don't think how those people think. Um, I kind of intrigued on what you're saying, and they requested me as friends.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you want the outlier, somebody that does something a little different and says, and those are the people you may become intrigued with. We're like, man, that was a whole, and you learn and grow from that.
Right.
Because what's the point of having a subset of friends and they all think the fucking same way, and you can never have, like, you choose friends for different qualities and characteristics. You choose mates for that. If everybody thought the same way, what is the attraction? What's the attraction? Or what's the attraction of hanging out with certain people? You hang out with certain people for certain things. Sometimes you may only want to be with this friend for this particular day. You like, I only need to be around him. Like if me and him say, if I call him and he say, hey, let's go out have a couple drinks, whatever. You might have a crew, but you only want to be with that person
Mm-hmm.
that time. It don't have to be a group thing, 8, 9 deep all the time, because sometimes you need certain things from certain people, and that's what you got to go with. So it's a lot.
Well-rounded, well-rounded diets are like it's a well-rounded diet, except it comes in human form. So when you get that, and it's like David said, you're better off for it. Why? Why have 6 people who offer you the same thing? Not that it's bad. We're not saying that it's bad. We're just saying it's just like your savings, your retirement fund. Diversify, laddering, all this stuff assists you in getting more, enriching your life. So you might want to call a person. This person in college they took a couple musical courses. They took a back have a background in opera. You say, hey, look, I met this woman. She wants to go to an opera. Which one should I take her to? He's gonna say, oh well, there's Fiddler on the Roof, there's Phantom of the Opera, there's this, there's that, and people, she's gonna be impressed. She's gonna say, well, how did you know about this? You say, I contacted my sources. They let me know. They say, oh, okay. What that tell her? You have a group of well-rounded friends. You're resourceful. There's nothing wrong with having people as friends who never meet your other friends. That's a good thing. Because I'm a person who believes no one person on this planet, and I do mean this when I say this, no one person on this planet should know everything about you. The only person that should know everything about you is you. Now, some people may know a lot about you. Some people may know 90% about you, the things that exist. That's cool. But what that does is that sets you up. So this person, and I'm not saying people have friends that do this, but when an individual knows everything about you, you set up to be victimized by that person if that person so chooses. I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying they won't. I'm just saying understand. David always says KYP. So if you KYP, you already know.
Well, we coming up on that time. to get up out of here. Herb, what you have for dinner? You got a meal you about to order up? You know.
Man, you was reading my mind. I don't know. Stuffed shells and chicken. Stuffed shells and chicken seem pretty good because I don't feel like cooking right now. It's 11 o'clock. I just want to sit up. I got my game here in front of me. I just finished one. Um, uh, it might be stuffed shells, man.
Mm.
Stuffed shells. It just seems very good right now. Very tasty. So yeah, I think it might be stuffed shells.
Nothing wrong with that.
I wish I could get some chicken and waffles, man. This time of night, or a nice baked fish dinner. But
Mm.
they only want to use. And you know what I found out about Uber Eats and DoorDash is their prices are over the goddamn top.
Oh, they milking it. They milking this shit
Yeah,
right now.
man.
Milking it.
Yeah. So I gotta stick to the local deliveries. They're um much more um fair, I suppose is the term I'm looking for. I don't mind paying $5 for delivery free and then tipping a couple dollars. But DoorDash, their markups are like 30%. And I'm just like, ooh. I was two fish dinners a couple weeks ago, almost $100. I said, oh no. I said, no, 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 no.
Yeah,
Not this. But
it's
they're
out of
like the best.
hand, but
Yeah.
this is the way of the world now. So people either have to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go back to old school, give me a Sam's Club, BJ's, Costco's, whatever thing, and give me some food and cooking and making sure meals last a few days, and people just gonna have to eat what the
Yeah.
fuck they want to eat. If you're tired of it, oh well. But right now, that's what we got going, and because we faced with some critical times, just with the gas and all that stuff, and everything getting raised, rent and stuff like that. It's buckle up, buckle up, people. We talked about this is coming and it's here, and we got to make the most of it. And again, for you, the people our age, you got to start thinking life after work, other plans, other opportunities to make money. No one's hiring you like that. No one is hiring you like that. Uh, unless you got some inside thing. But other than that, and for your people that's in your 30s, 20s, start building your resume. Start working. Start getting some time. Stop having a mindset that, oh, if I don't like this person, I'm leaving, and keep going to job from job to job. Establish some consistency in place, whatever, because sooner or later, you're going to be that 30-some-year old that can't get a job because you couldn't keep a job. You're going to be that 40-year-old that can't get a job in your 30s because you keep bouncing from job to job. Uh, Establish some consistency. And as far as
And
my
something,
closing, go ahead.
yeah, something else with that. You talked about this, Doctor Blues talked about this, Doctor McNabb. I'm sorry. Those of you who have certifications, do not forget to leverage those certifications into teaching. I just took a CPR course last week. There's some of you who are retired HVAC, electricians, plumbers, master electricians. Use that experience to teach. You can open a business. You can get a small business loan and go through and rehab buildings. I'm not saying you have to work 60 hours a week. If you got young men, young women even who are around you who are eager to be taught, have them pay a flat rate. All these colleges and things out here that are offering to teach and instruct undercut their prices because you can. It's a market. Sometimes, in order to get by, you gotta be savage. We talking about sass, but part of being savage is a part of being sassy. If you can undercut your competitor by 25%, guess what? You've opened up your market. And if you teach them well and they do well, guess what they're going to do? They're going to recommend that people come see you. Before you know it, you're going to be having classes after classes after classes. You're going to have more money than you could ever think of in your life. And you're going to say, damn, I didn't think it could be the season. Well, it wasn't until you applied yourself. So don't forget those certifications, all that education that you have, especially if you're a welder. Shit. A master welder, you got 20 years, 15, 20 years on your belt, and people can see your work. Government jobs, shipyards. I believe the U.S. military, especially when it comes to making the submarines in their aircraft carriers, which might be a product of bygone era coming in the next 20 years, especially with the advent of missiles, and that gets into a different topic altogether. Use that. Teach it. Don't take those skills with you when you die. Teach them things. Get paid for it. Get paid for that knowledge. Get paid for that ability. And that's pretty much all I got. As I was bring this back to growth and understanding the curves in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right, good people, and remember, words mean more than one meaning. So, uh, take it, break it down, look at it, and don't get discouraged. People have a lot to say about you, whether you're sassy, petty, or whatever the case is. Consider the source also. Consider the source. Study your opponent, study the people who talking about you, and then you'll be able to counter better, and it'll make you better because some people, they're here to try to break you down and break your spirits down, and depends on who you are. And some things you shouldn't let bother you because simply we got a lot more to think about with everyday life. Again, and I'm always going to resort to our age demographic because in our 50s we got elderly parents, we got you got children, you got grandchildren, you got your job to worry about, you got your own health. It's so many things to worry about, and other than somebody saying, "Oh, you sassy," okay, you give them that deadpan. Okay, okay, I'll be that. I'll be that. And just know who you are, know what you stand for, and continue pushing forward because the ridicule and the things that's being said is going to continue. And people, and if it's trending, you may be a victim of it, but it's how you respond to it and how you counter it is what matters. With that said, we out. Everybody, enjoy yourself, be well, and enjoy the weather, whether it's whatever it is. I just seen some came across while we was on the show. I guess it's supposed to be 80 something. But lately we've been having weather here is like 50, 60. A couple weeks ago, it was like, shit, it got up to 90 something. And it's all over the place. All I know is I work at a rambunctious place, and these kids, they be wanting activity. They want to get outside. They want to play. They amped up. So as the weather increases, and with these 29 days left, I got to be prepared for it. And it may require me to be sassy in some situations. and I'm here for it. All right, good people. I'm out. On to the next one. I'm about to enjoy the rest of this basketball game. It's a dogfight between the Timberwolves and the Spurs, and Ant-Man is back. So hey, anything can happen. All right, we out. On to the next one. Peace.
See.